Slick and Shiny, tongue-in-cheek productions, once more takes you to a trip to the days of yesteryear. We look at different places throughout Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. This time we're going to look at a place that most people know as Mountain View, but it wasn't always called Mountain View. Once upon a time, the place was called Denison, Denison. And what I'm going to do is put on some pictures that you can look at, and I'll say a few things about Denison. It was, at least from the time of 1895, the area was known as Denison. It showed up that way in a business atlas and shipper's guide, and if it was there by 1895, it was likely had that name somewhat before. Someone who votes out there recalls that the place where they go to vote has the name Old Denison Precinct. No, it was a crossroads, really, on the old pike. The old pike was one of those roads going back to the late 1700s, and it eventually became known as the Greensburg-Stoystown Turnpike and the Lincoln Highway, and we now think of it pretty much as Route 30. But there was a crossroads there, which is hardly even thought of anymore. On the south, there was a road coming up from Pleasant Unity and Mount Pleasant also. And on the north, there was a road going up to a railroad station that was called Carney, C-A-R-N-E-Y. And having access to a railroad station before there was automobiles was a very important issue, because if you wanted to go west, Pittsburgh and points beyond, a railroad was very helpful. Another feature which I might mention is that it is on a ridge out there. It's really the highest point between Greensburg and Latrobe. That became an issue when the railroad was being built. And that ridge runs the whole way down to Mountain View, or Denison. J. Edgar Thompson mentioned that ridge when he was building when he was engineering the railroad in the 1840s, late 1840s. He mentioned it as Huckleberry Ridge. Now, out there is a large tract of land, about 105 acres, which became important in the development of the area as a kind of a little village center of population. That tract of land in 1850 was bought by a guy named John Wall from Henry Brant. By 1924, the tract of land went into the hands of two guys by the names of Strickler and Weibel, and they had a hotel built there. And so that is our first introduction to Mountain View Inn or Mountain View Hotel. That was in the Roaring '20s. And they called it the Roaring '20s because things were good then. Things were busting and moving and, a lot of stuff happening. But toward the end of the '20s, 1929, there was a big bust, the stock market crash, which gave entrance to the Great Depression. So by the early 30s, the place went into receivership. And by 1933, the First National Bank of Greensburg took over ownership. And the bank owned it until 1940, when things were looking a bit better. 1940 was when Vance Boer and some of his family acquired the old hotel, and the Boer family ran that into very recent times, up until about 2009. The original Vance and several other Vances after that, and their family. We might mention other things out there. There was a schoolhouse right along the old pike. There were 2 inns in addition to Mountain View, Huckleberry and Buvette, and there were several stores out there. And what I want to do is shift gears here, and we're going to take a look at some of the pictures individually. Okay, this is a 1987 topo map. It shows Greensburg. This is Route 30 going out here. And this is the area right here, and we'll look at it a bit closer. There are things you can see. Charter Oak shows up out here also. And you notice the name Denison is on here. A map made in 1987 still has the name Denison. And here is the Mountain View Hotel right here. That's Mountain View. You might remember that. And unfortunately, this stuff is no longer there. It's a nice old landmark in the local area. It was simply destroyed, and a gas station was put in, and some other things that are not very noteworthy. Now, this is the original inn. That was the original Mountain View Hotel built in 1924. And a survey done on that property in 1927 indicates that there was a large hotel and a large garage. This is a garage. They were also running a gas station out there. This shows 1939. In that year, the property was still in the ownership of the bank, the Greensburg Bank. And over here, what you see is the hotel and the swimming pool. And this is the old alignment of Route 30. The new Route 30, which we'll go through here, hadn't been put in yet. Mapping from the 60s, 1964. This is Latrobe. This is Route 30 going over here. And we'll come in on that a little bit. This is the PRR main line. This is Route 30. This is the hotel and other factors that have to do with the area there. This is 1964, and you see the name Denison still applies on the maps. You can see the name Charter Oak starting to be used. Charter Oak was a plan of lots that was put in on both sides of Route 30. This is part of it, and this is part of it. Over the years, Charter Oak became larger. This is going backwards in history. This is the old main line. This is the old pike that became Route 30. And I'm going to come in on that a little bit. This is the area that did become Denison, and eventually we know as Mountain View. This is John Walls, who in 1850 bought 105 acres out here. It became a large feature in the development of the area. Unity Township, where it is located. And we're going to focus on this area right here. You see, this is the Crossroads here. This is the old pike, the road coming up from Pleasant Unity, coming over and coming up to the railroad. And you'll see in the next shot, this is Unity Township, 1876. This is 1876. This is the area that was called Denison. You see it had a schoolhouse there then. There were various things. You can see population is picking up. And here's the road that went up to Kearney Station. Road coming from all these farms down this way and then up to the railroad. And it's something you're hardly even aware of anymore, that there was a Crossroads there. This is 1915. And to make this clearer, I'm going to point out the red line is the old pike. This is the 105-acre property that came down from John Wall, and then the bank got 15 acres of it, and then the Boers bought into that, the 15-acre property with the hotel on it. That is the 105-acre property in the whole parcel. This shows you the 15-acre parcel that was taken over by the bank. This is the parcel that had the hotel and garage on it. And then I show you the outline of that parcel in red, how it fits into what's out there today. This is where the hotel, the original 1924 hotel, used to be. It's been replaced, erased, destroyed. 1941. Pennsylvania Department of Transportation mapping, going through the area, and I enlarged it a bit and pointed out some of the features. This was the Huckleberry Inn, named after Huckleberry Ridge. Another store that was out there, Mountain View Hotel, the swimming pool, and here down here is Buvette Inn. And we have a picture of Buvette Inn. This was one of those places that had little cabins that they would rent to people that were traveling. They also had gasoline to sell, and you can tell by the vintage of the cars that this is probably the 20s. And this is enough, I think, for the beginning of the thing on Mountain View and Denison. And I'm going to push a button and see you again.